Welcome to this training video on skills curriculum. In this video, we're going to highlight one of the model of care lenses called skills curriculum. It's an important lens for us because for us, the skills curriculum is a teaching tool. It's a tool that every staff can use in order to teach the skills that are identified on each service plan for each kid, those same skills that are placed on those signature cards as part of the motivation system. But this gives us the language so that we can be consistent in how we teach the skill to the youth. The skills curriculum is broken down. You should have a copy of it in your core manual so that any of the skills that we're teaching, it's very clear what those behaviors look like and the steps or components that we're going to teach that youth to have appropriate behaviors and demonstrate the appropriate skills. It's also important for us to have consistency among all of our staff so that we keep those low tolerances and high expectations among the youth by teaching the full skill each time. This gives us a common language and the ability to have that clear expectation for every teaching interaction. So we're going to review in this video some of those basic skills that are part of your skills curriculum. First of all, I want to point out that the way the skill curriculum is laid out for you as you refer to it is it's a great tool for you. It's going to lay out a couple of things. One, the skill name is going to be there at the top of each skill. It's going to also have on one side a list of those negative behaviors or inappropriate behaviors that might be seen that would let us know that a youth needs to practice or work on a particular skill. It's also going to have on the other side the appropriate behaviors listed, the skill steps or components as we call them that a youth would use if they're demonstrating that skill correctly. The skills curriculum is also set up to where each skill has a corresponding curriculum index number. They are listed in the book in alphabetical order. This is a great guide for us to refer to on any of the skills that we might be working on so that we know exactly what the expectations are and the language to use to teach that kid the skills they're working towards. So let's review some of the basic skills. There are 10 basic skills as part of our model of care. During core training, you should have memorized the first 5 basic skills, but there are actually 10 basic skills total that you should be familiar with to prepare you for Lighthouse certification. So we're going to review those for you right now. Our first basic skill is accepts feedback, and you look at the person, acknowledges, maintains body posture, and makes the change. Accepts no for an answer. Looks at the person, acknowledges, maintains body posture, and waits until a neutral time to discuss concerns more fully. Asks permission. Looks at the person, uses please, asks proper person, says thank you, does only what permission was given for. Follows instructions, obviously one we use very often. Looks at the person, acknowledges, does task immediately, checks back after completing task. And greeting skills. Looks at the person, acknowledges person by saying hello, stands up to say hello to a new acquaintance, speaks clearly, introduces self, states name, uses firm handshake, smiles. Conversation skills. Conversation skills is a complex skill that has a number of components. Looks at the person, smiles, answers direct questions, uses complete sentences, shows interest and concerns for the other person, makes positive statements about self, others, and the situation, states facts accurately, uses calm, clear voice tone, stays on task with topic, changes topic appropriately, includes others in conversation, initiates appropriate topics, and asks questions. One thing to highlight when it comes to a skill like conversation skills is because it's a complex skill and there's many components in the skill, we may not always see all of these skill components being demonstrated at one time. So staff needs to be familiar with the components of conversation skills so that we can respond appropriately, even though we're seeing just 1 or 2 of these skill components at play. So an example, if a youth is raising their voice tone or not speaking very clearly or appropriately, we may see that as an opportunity to do a corrective teaching interaction so that youth can practice conversation skills focusing on using a clear voice tone. Likewise, if we have a youth that shows some interest in another person initiates a conversation by asking something about them. How was your day? Those kind of things. That would be maybe a clue for us that we could do a positive teaching interaction for conversation skills, focusing on the fact that they showed interest and concern to another person. So when it comes to a skill like conversation skills, we're not waiting till we see all these pieces at once to do a teaching interaction. We're simply identifying when any of these pieces are at play, are present, then we have an opportunity to do an appropriate positive teaching interaction or possibly a corrective teaching interaction so that youth can practice that part of a conversation skill. We also have disagreement skills, which is asked to discuss concerns, uses a calm voice tone, states positions clearly, listens to others, asks questions, and thanks the person. We have ignores minor inappropriate behaviors, looks away from the person, turns away, ignores others, excuses self, walks away, ignores behavior, continues with his or her on-task behavior. We have offers to help, anticipates situations in which help is needed, offers assistance, completes the offered task, checks back. We have shows respect for others, uses pleasant voice tone, looks at the person, acknowledges requests, stops when asked, speaks so others can hear, knocks before entering, uses others' property with care, obtains permission to borrow, compliments others, expresses interest or concern, helps others, says thank you. Again, this is one of those complex skills that has a lot of different pieces that may not always be present together, but we have the ability to identify when one of these or more of these pieces are being shown by a youth, that then we can step in and do a teaching interaction to reinforce them or give them a chance to practice that skill as appropriate. There are other frequent skills that are used in our programs that allow us to become even more individualized, such as emotional impulse control, follows rules, leadership skills, participation, resists negative peer pressure, shows respect for property, sportsmanship, stays on task, table manners, takes responsibility or initiative, time management, promptness. When you think about all these other skills that we talked about, we have 51 altogether in the curriculum that can be identified through the service plan that are appropriate for any youth we serve. As we start with those basic skills, those are going to apply to practically every youth we serve because they need some of those very basic skills just to be successful in their relationship with adults and to be successful in our program where there's a lot of structure around them. But then as that youth is with us, those skills become more and more individualized because we're able to focus in on their specific needs and their specific strengths. And those are still going to be identified in that service plan that then should be transferred over to that signature card and the motivation system for each youth. And that's going to be individualized for each youth. We have a number of youth that may never have any problems with respecting property. However, we do have some youth that one of their behaviors is when they are frustrated or when they are acting out or having inappropriate behaviors, it involves destruction of property. And so for a specific youth like that, a skill coming onto their service plan and their signature card could be shows respect for property. But that's not necessarily one that would have to be used for every youth we serve. So we can identify these are a number of the frequently used ones, but there's also many others that can be utilized in the curriculum. It's also important to note that in that skills curriculum, there's many of those skills that are laid out that are very proactive to help the youth just become better, more successful in life, that are not so much an issue of having an inappropriate behavior that is negative. It's just really empowerment. When you think about things like leadership skills, that's really just about empowering that youth to be a leader and learn leadership skills. Self-advocacy skills. A youth may have behaviors that are not inappropriate. They may, if they have a frustration or a concern, may not curse or act out inappropriately in their conversations with staff, but we're trying to empower them with advocacy skills to be able to show that they want to express their voice and their opinion so that they feel empowered. So there are a lot of the skills also in the 51 skills that are really just about helping that kid become the best they can. Again, the idea of this whole skills curriculum is it is a teaching tool for us so that we can use that skills curriculum to identify what skills we want to work on with each youth. And then as a whole team, all of us can have the same language to speak those skill steps to that kid, help them have clear expectations of what that skill looks like and what the behavior looks like. We are going to repeat those skill steps over and over and over again. And there's a science in that when they hear the repetition of those skill steps that helps them learn and causes those teaching interactions to be very effective with them. You have this in your core manual to review to also help you. And if you have questions or want other information about the skills curriculum, be sure to reach out to your program manager, a Lighthouse certified staff, or any of us on the training team. We appreciate your time reviewing the Skills Curriculum Lens training video, and we thank you for working with our children and youth and for being part of a team that makes a difference.